Yeah, it's our turn to talk about the Cybertruck, and this was chosen by you. Obviously, we picked out a couple different stories that we could have talked about last week while we did some hangouts, and we'll get to the full show in about 25 minutes here. We're still in the middle of the pre-show, but yeah, we're gonna actually do a real live show again, everybody. It's a Christmas
what does
miracle.
one of that look like? I haven't been part of one of these for.
It might be rusty. Now, look, like here's the thing: is it might be a little rusty since we haven't. I was looking back at the notes. We haven't actually done a full show since October, like beginning of October. And so,
to HFES.
Yeah, we did live coverage at HFES, but that wasn't like a full show. And so, look, you come to these live podcast recordings like you go to NASCAR. You don't go there for the race. You go there for the excitement, the crashes, and you'll see plenty of those tonight. So, welcome everybody. We're so happy to have you here.
Oh, good. I'm glad we got that out. Yeah, I mean, I'm Barry. How are you? Let's focus on Barry for a second.
Well, that's a scary thing to do. I'm good. I'm a year older because I had my birthday last weekend.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Marmelade im Schuh, Aprikose in der Hose. Happy birthday to you.
That went to a place I didn't expect. Thank you very much. But no, it was weird because I'm getting older, and I don't know. You find that you don't want to necessarily celebrate them quite in the same way as you used to. But also because my birthday was on the Sunday, but we had our work due on the Friday for Christmas, and I've sort of got into the habit now with my team of having sort of in the day a workshop on, where we can focus on us as a team and our own development and all that sort of stuff. And that it's one of the things I'm really enjoying doing at the moment is getting everybody together, doing some like sort of fun activities, but also focusing on, in this case, we were looking at what happened in this year and what do we want to do next year, where would people like to focus and stuff. And it was quite nice just to have that whole self-reflection piece. And then go out and have a few beers and food and some more beers and some wine and then some beer. And then I left.
That's the funnest part.
Well, it's weird doing it as a boss. It is. And I don't know whether you feel the same, but you take your team out. That's great, and you have a great time. But there comes the point in the evening where you're like, I need to go because these guys want to have a good time. And so I realized that point had come when effectively we were at one of these Christmas do's where multiple companies can go. You basically have your own table in a large room, and we went in and we had the food. Then the DJ starts playing, and basically there's a few people predominantly, not exclusively, but predominantly the women start going to the dance floor and dancing and all that sort of stuff, and then my team decide that they're taking over the dance floor, and so they went to, and Kate, who's been on this podcast before, she's decided that she wants to teach everybody how to Cayley, which is a Scottish dance, and so they're all basically, they've taken over they're almost marching up and down the dance floor. Everybody else is scattered off like nothing, and I'm like, I think it's time to go because we're either going to get kicked out or they're just going to have a really good time. So we left them to it, but it was a fantastic night was had by all. So, but then I could go back to my own bed, which was very nice. They all stayed in the hood.
Well, I'm well into it now, but I mean, this decade of life involves more looking forward at the end of the evening to going home.
There isn't, I mean.
And not the after party.
Because we were sort of, the place we were having it, everybody could go and stay over for a cheap, they did a sort of a deal where you could stay over. Everybody else in the team stayed over. And it's not far away from home, but but I was speaking to Amanda about it and I was like, see, we could stay over because we tend to have on a Saturday morning, our thing now is we have a Saturday morning date rather than where we're going to have breakfast together somewhere, just because the kids aren't up, all that sort of stuff. You can just go, and it's more it's easier to sort out than an evening date. So we got to do that. So we're like, we could do that. We go and sit in the hotel, and then go. You have breakfast there. And it's like, but if you go to the hotel, then you're going to have a smaller bed. You're going to have a bed that isn't yours. The light switches aren't going to be in the right place. You're not going to be able to have, if you want to get up in the middle of the night and get a drink or something like that, it's not where you want it to be. Then I realized just I really, truly am a grumpy old man, but I can be a grumpy old man in my own bed at home and in the morning, not worry about who you're going to meet at breakfast and all that sort of stuff. So good fun was had by all. So
bingo.
yes.
Good.
The being grumpy at home is so much easier than being grumpy somewhere else.
Exactly. So
are you good there, Nick?
Oh, I'm good. Yeah. I'm looking at the show notes. So I'm just making sure that we're all squared away. So it looks like just some assignments here. Heidi, I have your initial reaction that needs you and Barry for initial reactions, and then you and Barry for one more thing. And then here's the thing that we've not been doing. I don't know if you've been on the show since we've started doing this, Heidi, but we've kind of been adopting like a debate instead of it came froms. And so I figured a three-prong debate on sort of aesthetics versus practicality might be a good approach for this type of story, where you have some maybe pushing the limits of some of these some of these designs that maybe impact some of the usability, and then you have sort of the practical approach of how to design for that practicality, but then maybe a balanced perspective too. We could all embody one of those approaches. So I think that might be a good place to start, but I want your thoughts. I don't know if anyone who's watching or listening, do you have thoughts on what you would like to hear us banter about after we've gone through our hit list of knocks on the Cybertruck?
I just saw in the notes. Sorry, this caught me off guard. I just saw in the notes, Heidi, initial reaction, consolidate your initial thoughts here. And then the next bullet point, what do you think, Nick? For all I know, that's my input. What do you think, Nick?
well, it's short, concise, and to the point.
Yep. Works for me.
Are we I feel like I should mute myself so people don't hear the clickety clackety.
Clickety clack.
Oh, but this is them letting those people behind the scenes to a certain extent and know that this stuff is actually well produced.
I mean, look, like we have show notes here, and there is plenty of notes for us to reference. But yeah, this is why we have the pre-show and the post-show, is to work on this stuff live. So you know what? If you're watching or listening right now, one of your comments can still make it into the show.
Yeah.
Just leave it wherever you're
I'm
watching.
writing mine right now. Feel free.
I would hope that your comments would make it into the show, Height.
You know exactly what I meant.
Oh no, there we go.
Oh my God. Look what I wrote, and then look what Nick's comments is.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's fine. Just don't copy what I wrote.
Just don't copy what I wrote.
That's why I try to get in there first, so that way people don't copy
You
what I
know,
wrote.
Dale, you know that I didn't look at your comments. I just started typing. I knew you and I were going to be very similar on this one. So
here's the real fun thing is during this like debate part, I think Heidi, I think maybe you can maybe we give you the safe one where you can kind of be like the balanced perspective of like looks versus design, unless you're like you want to take the all practicality approach. That's fine too. But I think I don't know, Barry.
Am I not always the mediator?
I mean, I just thought that might be where you want to be. But I'm really curious who wants to take this pro aesthetics branch.
I'll take aesthetic. I
you
can
do?
that.
Okay, because I was going to have some fun with that if I was going to take it. If you want to take it, Barry, that's totally cool.
If you want to have fun with it, that's fine. I can I'm happy to step back. I just didn't think you were wanting it, so I'm always happy to take the unwanted goods.
That's why you're here.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
No, I mean that's why you're here, Harry. Because
Oh, I see. Oh, you're going there. Okay, I thought
that's
you
no.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
that's
The mic does smell very new. The plastic is disturbing. I will say that. This is definitely not. This was not eco development.
Here's a question for you two, but also chat. What do we think? I know doesn't have a scent, but what do we think like pink glitter should smell like?
Unicorns.
So what? Like
Cotton candy.
some
cotton candy. Yes, I would have said.
okay, cotton candy. All right, I was thinking like bubble gum or strawberry.
I mean, I'm generally not a fan of that stuff anyway. I don't like fragrances. I like certain. I think it's safe to say that this is going to be too weird, but I like certain colognes. Like and certain perfumes, when women wear certain perfumes and men wear certain colognes, but when they're overboard, that's it. And anything else, any other smells on like artificial things, like oopsie, I don't like. So, I mean, but I imagine pink, what, cotton candy? Yeah.
Maybe.
I feel like unicorns, like whenever I had anything. Are you trying to put dog paws around your
Yeah, they're little kitty prints. Yeah, they're little kitty paws.
kitty prints?
Maybe this is more like the ASMR channel than. Okay, yeah, that's not working. I was thinking this might work. It's not working. I mean, you can see the blue light through it. I mean, I guess I can kind of hide behind it. But
I mean, I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. A microphone cover or a Nick cover?
I guess I could wear it like a sweater. Hold on.
No, you know what you could do?
It's a bib.
Do you remember how to do the sailor hats? Do you remember
I don't
how to
remember
fold
how
the
to do
sailor
that. No,
hats?
hang on. Yeah, hang on. I don't remember how to, but I can look it up. Hold on.
Well, it's really easy. Fold it in half. Fold it in half. Fold two triangles down. Flip the edges over, and there you go.
Oh, I'm a visual learner. I need a step-by-step.
Well, I did it
visual.
visually for you with my hands, but you weren't looking.
Okay, so you fold it in half. You fold it in half. I'm just trying. I'm repeating what you just said.
You're stupid.
I will be right back. I just need to get a water fill, so I'll be right back.
Okay, can you grab me one too, please? Thank you.
Could you grab me a Red Bull, please?
All right. Wait, hold on. You fold it, and then you fold the center, and then you
Well, fold the paper in
fold the
half.
page in half.
Okay, and then from the top where it's folded, fold down triangles that meet together in the middle.
Yeah.
But you have to leave leave about 2-inch edge on the bottom when you do the triangles.
We'll see if we can get this to work. Let's see here. And then we got the other side. So the other hard part about this is that it's a little bit larger than a traditional piece of paper.
Well,
so this might be a really large hat.
Then accordion them up. Accordion them
Yeah,
up.
hang on. And then at this point, you do that. Hold on. Wait. Okay. Hold on.
Nick.
No, wait. It's okay. I'm looking at a thing right now. Just
Okay.
I'll get this.
I'll make a mini one.
You just wait. Yeah, you make a mini one.
I'll make a mini one.
Barry, can you hand me my water, please?
Yep,
Where's my Red Bull?
Thank you.
Oh, I can't have Red Bull at this time of night. I'll be awake all night.
Right.
That
much
means then
Okay.
you can't really be ADHD.
So I think there's probably
Caffeine.
this.
should make you tired.
Oh, I think I figured it out.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
hold
kind
on.
of, I have a weird relationship with caffeine.
Well, then you are.
Yeah.
Sometimes caffeine makes me just the sleepiest.
Yes.
Yes. And it's a weird thing with driving as well, because if you stop and have a caffeine drink, then it will immediately put you stop because you're tired, have caffeine, and then
Put it the other way.
way.
Oh, is it like this?
Yeah.
All right, I got a Christmas hat.
And I got a little hat for my mic. Except mine
Perfect.
doesn't look like a hat. Mine just looks like a triangle. That's just stupid. Yours looks fun.
Thanks. I also have this white tissue here that I feel like maybe I could have I could the insides of the paws are a little bit more. Anyway,
I'm off and down water.
let's see here. So Barry, really quickly, did you want to do the which approach did you want to take? The aesthetics or the practicality?
Whatever you've left over.
Okay.
You wanted to take aesthetics because you wanted fun with it.
I'll take aesthetics. Okay, yeah, sure.
I shall take pro practicality.
So Nick,
Well, it's
and this
it's not
one
just
here.
aesthetics and practicality.
Okay,
I
yes,
mean,
you are the balanced approach. Yes, we got it.
it's also safety.
Well, yeah, practicality.
Make
Safety.
that the third way. So you got aesthetics, practicality, and pro safety. Because safety would be is a third way, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like,
If you go completely safety, then you just don't. You have a vehicle that doesn't move, and you don't
Okay,
get
so
into
then yeah, there's the safety effect, and then there's the so instead of practicality, I'm going to call it usability.
sure.
it.
Let's call it safe and effective.
Because
Oh, dear.
because Barry, it's not going to be very usable if it's just staying still.
Well, it could still be usable. It just wouldn't be very effective. It'd be very safe, but just not very effective. See what I did there?
Who did Road Rage meets Robocars?
Oh, that was us, Heidi.
I
It
thought it
wasn't.
was just Road Rage. Was there Robocars involved?
Yes, there
I
were.
feel like all we talked about was Road Rage. Sorry. There goes my memory.
It's okay. I don't remember half the shows that we do. Okay. Well, my hat's gone. So bib it is.
I don't know why I like. It just cracks me up to see you. I worked at Red Lobster for all but what 4 weeks, and that's all it reminds me of.
Heidi, can you do me like the biggest favor right now? Can you just ask me if I would like soup or salad?
I don't know if I ever asked that, but I can if you want to. Sir, would you like soup or salad with dinner?
Oh, what's your soup today?
Lobster bisque.
Oh, I was kind of hoping for broccoli cheddar. No, I'm good.
I can run over to Panera and get you one for a surcharge.
Broccoli Stilton surely has to be the way ahead, not broccoli cheddar.
Okay, how does this look? Is this festive? I feel like this is dumb.
I'm pleased you feel like that.
I can't tell if this is festive or dumb.
I can.
I feel
It's-
like maybe I gotta go get like a holiday sweater or something, but then I'd just be really, really hot in here because I always end up sweaty after these because this light is so bright, and this is on its lowest setting too. Like if I went hard, like this is the light.
Oh, wow, that's really bright. Yeah.
That's
So-
full brightness here.
You have reminded me I need to turn my radiator down because it's too hot in here as well.
Yeah. So if I have my Christmas sweater on, it would definitely be like hot and sweaty town in here afterwards. Anyway, so I have some. What do I do with these? What do I do with this?
It's getting cold in here. I think that it's the temperature already. Well, already Massachusetts, of course it is. But I wonder if I'm going to make it through the podcast with wearing this summer dress and not being cold.
Do you have a jumper on standby, an emergency jumper that you can just break glass and?
Well, I feel like I should be like the Girl Scouts right now, always prepared. So I feel like I should pull a blanket just in case.
I just realized I have a.
Oh, I will. I'll go get the one Mommy made. Hold on.
I've split my notes up into external and internal. I don't think it makes any difference. Yeah, because we can just hit all them as we go through.
All right. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, she ran away.
Yeah, I know. I see that.
She had
We'll go live and hear 5. Last chance for anyone who's watching or listening. Get your thoughts in. What do you think of the Cybertruck? I saw somebody comment on one of your posts on LinkedIn. Do we want to bring that in? Did you put that in here?
Not yet. You just reminded me. I'm just about to do that.
Yeah, that was great. That was a great one.
Thompson. There we go. Oh, he doesn't hold back. We might have to have a chat at the next meeting I have with him about his opinions. I'll put social thoughts just above the discussion.
Cool. Sounds great. Okay. Right. This
And
is
we're
so weird. This is just so foreign to me because it's been so long since we've actually done a show. I feel it's our big comeback, everybody. We almost hit 300 episodes. We would have hit 300 episodes, I think, had things not happened. And I'll go over those things again, just in brief. I did post a thing to the channel, but like we're back, I guess. Yes, we're back. I don't know.
Yes.
I've got to sneak in one more 1202 episode of some description, so at least I'll have done 12 in the year. How poor is that for a showing?
That's not bad.
It's not the worst I've done. The first year I did only get, I think, 5 out, but that I did start the podcast in the October of that year. So yes, but I've got lots of things lined up for next year. So hopefully, anyway.
I think we'll hit 7 with safe and effective, with 2 dropping in the next 2 weeks. But so schedule out the window. But I mean, well, to be fair, one is the one that's actually planned, and the other one is just, well, not just, but it's Nick and I's conversation about neurodiversity. So,
Just. Okay. Looks like we're going live here. Well, I mean, we're live.
I
Looks like
thought we already
I
were.
think I'm ready to start the show. I'm ready to start talking
Sure.
about this stuff. How are you both feeling? You got your one more things in there. You got your
Oh, I don't have one more thing. Oh, I'm
I don't have a one more thing. That's my problem.
make one thing up.
Make one up.
I did have one as well because we don't have a dining room table. I don't get to talk around the dining room table when we'll talk about that.
Is that my?
Done.
Is that my? Ooh, with yours, I remember something, but sure, I'll think about it.
Did I talk about the mixed reality piano vision last time?
Yes.
Okay, then I won't talk about that. That was
You
going
mean
to be my
the-
backup, but I just didn't remember.
The
Yeah.
thing with
Yeah.
seeing the keys
Yeah.
in 3.
thing's so cool.
Yeah.
So cool. I haven't used it since last week, but it's so cool.
Yeah, you did.
You hit those checkpoints. You're like, that's cool. All right, put it away. Doesn't do anything. All right. Okay, you all ready?
Born ready.
Y'all watching and listening ready? Because we're going to hit you with a podcast in your ear holes in just a minute. So stay with us while we... I'm sorry, was that funny?
I don't know why I had to laugh at ear holes so much, but...
You see these holes in your head?
It reminds me of something, and I know that the something is funny. So I'm having an internal funny moment.
Okay.
You guys are not a part of that.
Okay.
So.
Well, check your ear holes because we'll be right back with a show, with a real live show. Everybody, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Human Factors Cast, your weekly podcast for human factors, psychology, and design.
We're back. This is episode 296. We're recording this episode live on December 14th, 2023. This is Human Factors Cast. I'm your host, Nick Roome, joined today by Barry Kirby.
Hello, it's great to be back.
And Heidi Merzad.
Hello.
Hi, guys. This is weird. We're back for the first time in like 2 months, so bear with us, as this will probably be a dare I say, Cybertruck of an episode. But we got an awesome show, hopefully lined up for you all. We're going to be talking into the main topic of the evening, the Cybertruck. Yes, it is our turn to talk about it from a human factors perspective. We'll also take a little bit of a fun approach on a debate a little bit later in the show. So sit back, relax. Let's have some holiday spirit, holiday cheer here. And let's get the show on the road. But first, I do want to address sort of the elephant in the room. I know I posted something separately to our social channels and to in the podcast feed as well, but I do just want to explain our absence. So in the weeks leading up until HFES, we were super hard in prep work. You haven't had a full show since October, so it's like approaching 3 months, which is kind of an embarrassing part for us. Upon returning from HFES this year, I was hit with the latest tech layoffs, so I was involved in that latest wave. And then I had an unfortunate sort of furry friend that we needed to say bye. And that was just really hard. So if you want the full story, listen to the last thing in our podcast feed from like a couple weeks ago. We're back now. We've been doing some Human Factors hangouts in the last couple weeks, just to kind of get us back in the spirit of talking about human factors-y things in a public forum. So if that interests you, please go back and listen to those on any of our visual media. Some of them have like visual gags and like, I don't know, jokes that
we played
we're
games,
actually we played games. So go back, listen to those, watch those if you want some more of this type of thing. But we're back now. But I have to know, Barry, in our whole absence, has anything been happening over at 1202?
Not a lot. That's not true, actually. We had an episode go out. Just wait. And I've got to sort of do my own sort of hold my hands up to this as well. That normally we'd be doing, I think my normal plan is for 26 episodes a year, to roughly fit once a fortnight-ish. I barely managed 11. 11 are live. There's one more to drop. And yeah, that's not great. Anyway, the last one is an interview with Brendan Hazlitt. And we talk about consulting, because actually a lot of human factors practitioners, either one-man bands or they work in small consultancies, and you end up consulting a lot rather than maybe being part of a larger team. And so sometimes people can look down the noses a bit as consultants, thinking they're just there to grab loads and loads and loads of money. Now there might be a bit of truth in that, but fundamentally, being a consultant means you do end up working on your own quite a lot. You have to be sort of almost the jack of all trades, all that sort of stuff. And so we sort of dig into that a bit, because Brendan's done a lot of consulting, and we sort of found out a bit the pros and cons from doing the job itself, but also what it means to you when you do your career, what are the advantages it gives you that way. So really interesting chat and really good to bounce some of them things off each other. So it's over there. It's live now. Go and have a listen and see what your thoughts and reactions are.
Great. Yeah, it doesn't sound like there's a whole lot going on. Okay, well, thank you for that, Barry. I think this is me awkwardly struggling to find a transition. There's buttons to press, so I'm going to press some buttons. And if the audio stinger wasn't enough, this is the part of the show all about human factors news. Barry, what is our story this week?
So this week we are talking about everything to do with Elon Musk's Cybertruck. The world has been anticipating the arrival of the Tesla Cybertruck ever since we all saw Elon Musk break his prototype whilst attempting to show off the bulletproof capability by trying to throw steel balls through the window. Well, it's landed, and the web is alive with reviews and commentary on the truck itself, as well as the evaluation of the reality versus the hype of what we had to expect. Therefore, why should we be any different? We're going to jump on that bandwagon. And today's episode is based on largely a review by YouTube tech personality Marquise Brownlee. Now, we like this review because it does focus on a lot of the things that we as human factors people like to get excited about. Now, they haven't gone around calling it an ergonomic or a human factors analysis, but I believe that if they knew what it was, that's exactly what they call it. So we're going to do it on their behalf. With a price tag of $99,000, or just over $99,000, which is $30K more than predicted or estimated. And it's got a range of 320 miles, which is 280 miles less than advertised. It's got no Tesla logos on it whatsoever, except on the starting card. We seem to have come down to earth with a bump. People are reported to be disappointed due to what they feel as broken promises on the key specifications made by Elon Musk and Tesla since the Cybertruck's initial introduction 4 years ago. But we're going to go through all that and get into that. So Heidi, have you got your new Cybertruck on order? Is it shiny? Is it sparkly? Are you going to love it?
Does it come in a glitter version?
But for $99,000, then I would expect it to come in whatever version you want.
For $99,000, I expect that thing to have a shower in the back. but I mean, I got to reel here because I don't want to instantly jump into like how bad I think it's constructed and all that stuff. But I just think from the perspective of just the news hitting, like how you said it, basically, how he likes to break things and demonstrate things and jump the gun way too quickly. I think this could have done with another year of development with actual people on there who think about more than just the aesthetics. But that's my initial kind of response. Nick, what do you think?
I think for the purposes of this discussion, I don't like to send people away from the podcast very often, but this is a great review. It's not even a full review. It's like initial thoughts that they put out, and it's a great unbiased breakdown. Like they talk about it in a very unbiased way, and it's about 40 minutes. So if you're into the whole breakdown, that again, we're going to cover most of the aspects I think that pertain to human factors and ergonomics here. This is the Cybertruck is what happens when maybe you prioritize some of these looks or aesthetics over potentially some of the usability and even visibility or safety issues. And we're not going to go straight into bashing this thing. There's actually some really cool, I guess, feature enhancements or improvements that you might even be able to call them within the Cybertruck, but we'll get to those a little bit later. Barry, I'm really curious as to what your initial thoughts on the Cybertruck are and where your mind is at.
So for me, I'm going to go against the grain slightly of what almost everybody else thinks. I quite like it. I think there is some bits around it, not necessarily the truck itself, as we will get into. It's got some tweaks that could be done. I think there's some minor imperfections. But Tesla is always, when they've been doing what they're doing, the whole thing around Tesla is to break new ground. They've wanted to do new stuff. I mean, when they first started putting the autonomy in there, they broke the ground with that. And now we see it as way more as the mainstream than we did 5 years ago, 10 years ago. This truck certainly isn't perfect. This truck certainly has things it could change, but you see that driving down the street, there is no other truck like it. So it does that. I do wonder also whether a lot of this reaction is against Musk as opposed to against the Cybertruck, because he has annoyed a lot of people. I mean, we've done interviews, or we've done chats like this before where we've talked about SpaceX. I'm a massive fan of SpaceX. Love the type of stuff that he's done around fail, try again, fail, try again. But as soon as he did the whole Twitter piece or X piece, then anybody who didn't like him beforehand really doesn't like him now. And so I do wonder whether this is some reaction to that. There are, when you go through I mean, I completely agree with what you said about the video that we're using as a springboard for this. It is a really nicely developed piece of unbiased review. There's some really cool innovations with it. Not all of it will work. Not some of it. I do look at it and go, a bit. That's a bit. But I like it. I like the fact you've given it a go. And I sort of, I did write this in the show notes, and I don't know whether it's the right analogy to use, but just think how many iterations SpaceX went through before they could get the successful program that they've got going now. That's not the best analogy, because we don't want as many Cybertrucks blow up in the same way that they had some of their spacecraft blow up. But yeah, I think fundamentally, we need to give we do need to step back and look at it for what it is, not what we think it could be,
or who it's associated with. And thank you for bringing that up too, because that's sort of one piece that there's so many things that are Musk adjacent that we talk on the show, and I again don't want to make this conversation about him, because you're right. He's made a lot of really bad choices, and there's some really strong opinions. I have some really strong opinions about him, and so let's try to focus this on the discussion about the thing itself. But yeah, I think good point with those. I do want to. Yeah, go ahead.
But I just want to say that doesn't mean we're going to avoid it, because there's a huge part in this where we have to think about the ethics and like the ethical behavior and the morals in this too, how he uses humans as test dummies by putting stuff out there, updating software on his stuff without just running, break stuff. It's this mentality of break stuff is a lot of people do that, and I understand that, and I totally agree with both of you. In order to break through, you need to, do cutting edge, a lot of stuff. But I think with him, what I feel I'm more and more seeing is somebody who actually isn't that great of a businessman, and he just has a lot of money to fix the stuff that he messes up with his money. So I think there's a difference in failing to be innovative, failure, as a path to innovation. I mean, this is something we've talked about, especially on my podcast too. But you're both absolutely correct. It shouldn't be about him, but the problem is he infuses his developments with his
culture.
Mentality, and that's the problem. So while I completely agree, and I will respect that we're not going to make it about him, I think the part that bothers me so much is that he just doesn't care. And I don't like that. I don't like that kind of behavior in a development arena and industry where your development products are actually going to hurt people if they don't function right.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because the last thing that I was going to make, or the last comment that I was going to make, is when you say break things, I feel like sending things that have not been tested like fully automated solutions break people as well, and that's not an approach that we should be taking. So, okay, with the personality out of the room, let's talk about some of this. Barry, there was a social thought on one of your posts. I don't know if you want to bring this up as kind of a springboard to talk about, because there's some live comments here in chat that I want to bring up as well. Maybe we bring up the one that was on your post here, and then I'll bring up the ones in chat.
Yeah, so obviously we put this out on our social media. So through LinkedIn, David Thompson commented that he thinks that the Cybertruck is an abomination. Now, don't hold back, David. Please don't just tell us what you really think. And he goes on to do so. It's too big, it's too heavy, it's too ugly, it's too dangerous. It is intended to be provocative, no doubt, and in that respect, it succeeds. For a good while, it was really just a concept, but the more controversial and media interest it secured, the closer to actual production it's got. I hope never to see one on the UK roads.
And I think
agree, because I want to see one. But anyway, that's...
I think because of some of the safety concerns, you can't even put it on UK roads, is what I was reading in some other review.
I think there are issues around. Well, it just doesn't. The things like crumple zones and stuff like that, and the fact it's just made the steel is an issue. There's a whole bunch of things that. And
it's a safety issue, right? It's like the jagged edges on the front and the crumple zones, the soft spot where you hit people and pedestrians. Hopefully not, you don't hit them, but if you were to hit them, that is not safe enough for the pedestrians around it, right? Is that the issue?
Well, it's also when you no matter what you crash into, just obviously the crumple zones exist to move that energy, that kinetic energy, through the vehicle and not through the cabin. And this is where I was really surprised, actually, that again, we've talked about legislation quite a lot in the past, but the difference in European and UK legislation and US legislation, that we would have thought that this would have been such a common thing across the both. I was quite surprised that it wasn't, that you get away with. But then we have different relationships with automobiles.
Yeah.
Well, and also this is where his personality and his thinking comes into play, right? And that's kind of a little bit the problem. Like, he gets away in the US with a lot more because the US is so much more. We're not going to make it a political. I see the comments, like, it's not going to be a political thing for me to point out, but because he is the 1%, right? He is part of the 1%. He gets away with things that nobody normally would get, and with regulations being so loose when it comes to certain things here, he gets to push the envelope over here, which is why he likes this country so much. Like, he would never be able to pull this stuff off back home or wherever, like we can list so many countries where he would never be able to get away with that.
Just to put the balance on that, there are other cars that also in the US that wouldn't be allowed to be over here either. So this is not the first. Let's just balance.
Sure. All right. Let's make one more comment about him. That's not any of ours. We'll read this live from one of the YouTube comments. For what it is, this is KW from YouTube. For what it is, it's a less than usable truck with poor manufacturing. Plus, this is about Musk, the anti-right to repair and taking credit for the engineers who work under him. True Henry Ford of our time. So we'll leave it at that for
comment.
Musk.
I like that one.
Pull out
the Henry Ford of our time. I like that one.
But because actually the right to repair thing, I think is really important to draw on, because there is. I mean, I've got it down in my notes on just sort of the human factor and the logistics things that we look at this, because we not expect, they're expecting it to go back to the factory or be replaced rather than allowing people to do their own repair, which is not great. And when we look about how people want to manage their own logistics lines, aftermarket stuff, I mean, you look at the way that the tires are done. Tires look really, really cool, but again, they're pretty bespoke to that vehicle. So when it looks at people's choice, and to maintain and things like that, and that windscreen it's highlighting thing. It's the biggest piece of glass you've ever seen, which on the one hand looks really cool. It's that whole futuristic bit, but it's highlighted the fact that if you were to put something down on the front dash, like say behind the steering wheel, you would lose it down the front of the
It would go
vehicle.
sliding forward. So yeah, I think that's a good launching point here, Barry. Let's actually talk about some ability issues. Some of these, I took some notes as I was watching through that video, and these are all sort of human factors, usability focus, safety focus. So I'm going to go through this list. We can kind of pick and choose what we want to talk to from here, but at least this gives us all a common ground to work from. So in terms of manufacturing, they brought up sort of this issue with stainless steel. If you were to sort of morph it, then push it a little bit further than it needs to go, so that way it comes back into the shape that you're actually looking for. And so this is a bunch of different tolerance issues with actually manufacturing this thing together. You brought up the windshield wiper. This is a great point. Now, the windshield, now the wiper itself, it's just one big blade that goes across the whole front screen. And in the, I guess, passenger side upper left corner, it misses a whole chunk of the windscreen. And so they even mentioned it covers about 75% of the passenger side. So, you're still missing about 25% of that passenger side when it gets dirty. And so it's not cleaning that for visibility. And is that the most important thing for visibility? Probably not, but it is something to be aware of. In terms of rear visibility, now it has sort of this retracting sheath that covers the bed of the truck. And when that sheath is retracted, or I guess covering the bed of the truck, there is no rear visibility. Now, there is a rear facing camera that is on the center console display that displays on the center console. But with that, then you're having to glance at the screen for a rear camera view instead of at the traditional space. When you're looking at that screen, you're then taking your eyes and focusing them in a different space visually compared to where your eyes should be on the road. So whether or not that's been studied or whether or not that's been taken a look at, that is a consideration in terms of having to adjust to that new view. In terms of pedestrian safety, we've already talked a little bit about the crumple zones. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's go back to the visibility bit.
Hang on. Let me get through
on.
this list. I just want to get through this list so that way everyone's on the same page, and then we can come right back to that visibility bit. Okay. So in terms of pedestrian safety, we talked a little bit about it. The crumple zones, driver or passenger safety is also a concern with those crumple zones. The front trunk is rather shallow. In terms of usability issues, these were some that I noted from the video. There's no door handles. There is a button, and there was a question of whether or not this would actually be functional in icy environments. So if you press the button, is the door going to have enough force to push any ice that's on the vehicle out, and then you grab it from the side? There's the visibility over the nose of the car cited as a concern. It has a front camera to account for this, although that might be very situational as you're parking. So again, getting used to the car itself. The gear shifter is actually up on the top where the rear view mirror would traditionally be in a car. And once again, as we've seen in other Tesla vehicles, there's no physical button to open the glove box. In terms of some usability improvements versus other Tesla models, now these are present in some vehicles now, but in terms of comparing them to other Tesla models, hey, you got haptic buttons on the steering wheel, so they're that's an improvement, I guess. And then the steering is reportedly really comfortable because you don't have to do a full turn to do a 180 turn. You just turn it like, I guess, a 90-degree turn, and you're able to do that tight turning. So that's everything. Let's get back to what you were talking about, because you were talking about the visibility here, Barry.
No, because I did pretty much the same. And I've just copied my notes underneath yours. I was just trying to work out who's talking about what. So I guess some of the other bits that I sort of picked out of what was happening. Again, the manufacturing bit I thought was really interesting, because it's not really on the car itself. It's not a human factors problem. It's just a manufacturing problem. It's an engineering problem. However, it is a human factors problem when you talk about how these things are going to be developed. So when you look at the production line and how we do that, and how we do your testing, and therefore the credibility of what they're doing, still can't get back to why they're so adamant about using steel. Apart from a couple of bits, but it's a bit weird. I mean, Tesla manufacturing is known not to be the best. On every single model, there is huge complaints about the quality of manufacture, the quality of finish. So is this them just carrying on doing what they do? Fingerprints on that still seems to be a big thing that everybody seems to be reporting that, and this video does. The removable wing mirrors. Now, this is an interesting one for me because the original was purported not to have wing mirrors. In the video, it does highlight the fact that they do have the cameras to do camera-based wing mirrors, but they highlight the fact that they have to have wing mirrors because of the legal requirements in the state that they're manufactured. And so what they've done is make them so they're really, really easy to take off. So they fulfill the legal requirement, but with the expectation that actually everybody will just take them off and use the camera versions instead. You've already mentioned about the rear windows. So this one of the cool things it does is it allows you to use the battery for other things. So it's got places where you can hook in your the cigarette lighter charger and other types of charger. It's not the first platform to do that. So the Kia platforms tend to have that. So the EV6 was one of the first, certainly in the UK, to have that, and it shows that there is greater utility for having a large battery platform that can be used for other things. You mentioned about the no handles. I'm quite down with that, as I think we mentioned last week. They've sort of copied what the Fords have done in the Mach-E, where the Mach-E has a button opening, and the rear door in particular works pretty much the same way, which I think is good until it isn't.
Yeah, can I ask you about that? So have you used those in like an icy environment where have you ever had trouble getting into your vehicle because of that entry method?
Because we're typically British, we don't have such strong ice, shall we say, such layered ice is what they were talking about in that video. We've had it where it's been very cold, and it has been icy, but you're talking like millimeters, not inches. And so I've never had the problem of pressing it and it not popping out. What you do sometimes get is sometimes the button doesn't work straight away. Sometimes you have to like press and hold it, or you might have to press it twice for it to open. So I don't think it's as tactilely useful as a proper car door handle, if that makes sense. So yeah, no, I think it's a cool gadget. I just don't think it's a long-term winner. But the all-around cameras, I think, are really good. It's taken me a while to get used to them. So again, my car, the Mach-E at the moment, has 360 cameras. It has front-facing, and that type of thing. And the rear view camera is there as well. And it is a bit where you do have to get used to looking somewhere else if you want to use that rear view camera, but you do get used to it. It's not dangerous as such, but the thing that you do have to watch for is when you get into a vehicle that doesn't have a camera. So the rear view camera on my wife's car wasn't working for a while, and the amount of times you'd sit there and go, well, how am I going to reverse into my driveway safely when I can't use the camera? And I'm having to use the traditional look back through the window. So there's a whole bunch of stuff there that I think that it's not necessarily about you'll get used to it in that vehicle, but it's when you then transition to other vehicles that I think the true danger hits there. And that's just the outside.
I apologize. I have a sinus infection. Apparently, I was sounding like Darth Vader breathing into this. So
I thought you were just trying to be a bit sinister, and put a bit of.
Why do you always everything that I do in your eyes is always dark? I have sparkles. I have pink. It's like I couldn't be more bright. And no. Yes, apologies. I have sinus infection. But I mean, you just did the outside, but I have so many issues with this from a safety point.
Let's talk about some of them.
Okay. Yep.
So one of the things that I mean, do you want to repeat your list and I'll just give you the counter argument for every single one because that's how I feel. It's not just that they're done different, like it's a different design, taking a different approach aesthetically or whatever. I think a lot of the things in there, what bothers me more is that certain things have found its way to be the way they are because it's been proven that that's just the best safety factor. Like there is just certain factors that come into play where we've already found the optimal design for certain things. And pushing that envelope, I understand, but the safety with this truck is so there's so many things that come into play with that. Well, you mentioned the glass, right? That means, so if this glass breaks, it's the amplification of the injury to the person is also higher. There's more glass. It has more angles that it can be broken on. Like, however, whatever, if he wants to put military grade glass in there, whatever, I mean, however he wants to fix these. But I feel like a lot of these things that they're trying to fix is fixing something from the back end. So why aren't you making it safer from the front, like initially when you're developing it? Why are you just now, like, it's all about now going back to fixing the safety issues, right? Because you didn't put much thought into it. And when I say much thought into it, I would like to respect all the engineers that work there. That's not the issue. I think the problem is that a lot of these things fall into categories where Musk personally probably thinks he's above, right? Good manufacturing practices, right? He spoke about manufacturing aspects, right? I heavily doubt he even knows what that is, honestly, at this point, because where are his advisors to give him the safety aspects of these? So that's just the glass. The front, the collision area, when you spoke about the angles on the side, and in German we say Knautschzone. And I'm failing to come up with a word for it in English. The area that you were so kindly explaining how it's not supposed to take the kinetic energy and put into the cabin. Instead, it's supposed to buy
Crumple zone.
Crumple zone. Crumple zone. Yeah, that makes sense. Knautschzone. Okay, got it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the visual. And that's a huge factor. And then, I mean, we haven't even gone inside yet, right? So let's stay with the outside. Then why is that all that space in the back? Why can't we put that in the front? Why can't we just turn this truck around to improve the front, right? To make the front longer instead of the back longer. I don't understand that at all. If you could flip this truck around, it would already probably take care of that. Then the little design features like the handles and stuff like that, I just think that is really you cannot tell me that there's a human factors engineer on their team. There's just no way. I don't see it. I'm having a really hard issue with that.
I will play devil's advocate here just for a second. Okay? Because sure. sometimes there are people like us involved in these products and we
get overruled.
Yes, exactly. That's where I'm going, is that sometimes personalities at the top can overrule some decisions that we have maybe suggested that may have been a better solution for people. And so I'll just say that I feel like that
you're probably right.
Type of culture exists here. So
but also,
you're probably spot on, to be honest with that.
I'd play a slightly stronger devil's advocate in that. So you use the door as the example. Actually, I think it works quite well. And I'm gonna interrupt you right away because you're not thinking of the disabled people. Like, it works well for people who have a very high educated intelligence and are well functioning. But the second you aren't, this is a huge issue. So what you're saying in that, and I'm not saying you are saying, but what you're saying with your design is, if you're not 100% physically, mentally, all those things at the top of your game, and you're staying in tune with all the engineering and technology advancements,
you can't use our car. And that's my issue with it. Like, and that's why I get so amped up when the stuff, like, I'm just looking at it from a lens where I go, yeah, it looks cute. And yeah, for you, it works well. And for a lot of people, it works well. But the second you don't come with that kind of background and that ability, you can't use these products. And one of the comments made is in the chat is true. Like, it's sad, but there's going to be so many people lining up to buy this that he's going to get away with a lot of safety issues just because of that, right? So, and I will be very honest here. I don't know exactly how much he's crossing the line with the guidelines, with the regulation and all that stuff, like how many things he has to fix in order it to, be considered a safe car on the road or whatever, or licensable car on the road. I would take the word safe out of that.
Just on that, my belief is at the moment that it is safe to drive on the American roads. It's certified to be able to do that.
Of course it is.
It passes your legislation.
Yeah,
of course it is.
Yeah.
But,
Passing legislation and being truly safe is another conversation.
Two
If there's
different
any
things, yeah.
if there's any transportation experts that are listening to this live, I'd love to have you weigh in the post show. We're not experts in transportation. Let's be clear. Like, we're human factors people who have our own domains that we work in. This is from our perspective, and this is why this show exists, is to talk about it from different perspectives. So we'll just cut that off there. But yeah.
But okay, so and bear with me. I want to draw an example here. And I don't know how far it's out there, and please feel free to interrupt me right away if you think it's absolutely not. But what this reminds me of so much, if you're saying that according to our regulation, like, it's considered okay for the road, this reminds me so much of the time that they put the Max out there. Boeing put it out there and never tested the software upgrade, and planes crashed.
And now we have laws in place as a patch.
Why do we need to first lose people in masses?
You're right. We shouldn't have
in order for that to happen. And that's what I see happening with this.
We shouldn't have to. You're right. And this is a political discussion that...
No, absolutely. I don't want to go into the political, but that's the problem I'm having with this. We already see so many safety issues. So why can't we fix those safety issues beforehand and instead of after? And when I say safety issues, I mean, it's some of the things are so obvious, and it's not just disability. Yeah, to us. Well, we're human factors experts, and a lot of our listeners are human factors involved. So it does, to us ring like ding, ding, ding. We see these things light up, red flags everywhere, right? But the thing that also I'm very concerned about is but that's inside. Do you want me to just stay outside and cut it and bring it over to you, Nick? Because there's some things where I'm just also a little like curious how that's supposed to play out. But
yeah, you go wherever you want to go. Inside, outside?
Because the inside, when you mentioned like putting stuff on the dash and flying in, right, and not being able to grab it, but also the steering wheel. Like, I don't know how this truck is supposed to, what's intended use it has. Like, is this supposed to be like a mega truck for just rich people to show off with? Sure, cool, whatever. But the steering wheel is not really user-friendly for purposes of like, okay, if this is an electric vehicle, right, maybe this could be a nice solution for some of the bigger transportation issues that we have with all the consumerism around, right? So, but it's not user-friendly. The steering wheel isn't user-friendly. Not just because of its form, but also have you seen how thick it is? Like, just holding, like getting your hands around it. I couldn't find any measurements, but from the visual, it looks like it almost would take your entire hand grabbing it. So the grip strength that you now have with it lowers. So now that you have a lowered grip strength, in certain situations where you need more grip strength, you would be compromised. So that's, for me, a huge maneuverability issue, right?
So I'll just challenge on that just because it's fun. The steering wheel is interesting because the way it's been based on their already proven design in the S or something like that. That that shape that squirk. I can't remember what the name that he used for it, but it's a
Squircle.
Squircle or something like that. So it's the first one that they've done that is the equivalent of an aviation fly-by-wire. So there's not a mechanical linkage, so you don't have the same resistance to the road. That's why they can get away with the just under 180 degree turn, which is really neat because it means if you've got you've got less strength to be able to engage with the steering wheel, actually it should be better for you. And combine that with this idea of rear wheel steering that it brings in as well, which is not a new concept. That's been around for years, but it's the first time it's been employed on a vehicle like this. That it means you can actually get it should be more nimble. It can turn in a much tighter circle and things like that. So, but the difference here is going to be again because it's going to be a new driving experience for many people. If you're not used to rear wheel steering, which is largely the purview of really large, Arctics and very large trucks, if it's not something you're used to, without training or without somebody running you through that experience about how this new steering experience will work, that's where I struggle with it to a certain extent. It's not necessarily the design; it's going to be that learning experience about how you engage with it.
Well, I do think it's the design. He's throwing too much crap in here. He's thrown too much new in here because I'll counter what you said. Yeah, we've had rear wheel driving. I mean, I grew up in Germany, so if you wanted to drive BMW, you had to get used to it, right? So BMW drivers are used to it. If you didn't drive BMW, Nick just chatted something. My chat window pops up, and I have ADHD, and I don't know why that is happening. Okay, so I didn't read it. I'll read it in a second. Let me finish the thought. But so there is, like you said, it's a user group. So we could play the user group thing, right? For certain users, they're going to come with more willingness to adapt to the differences, right? But I will also say from experience, it is quite the shock factor when you're used to driving not rear wheel, not having a steering wheel like that, the sensitivity to it, right? Just take the comparison to driving a manual stick shift from the 80s, right? With no power steering, and if you've been driving that forever and then put yourself in a new car, right? Like the feel instantly off, it takes a really long time to transition into it, to feel safe, to feel comfortable in it. And so for me, that's a huge issue. Like you're not just taking certain parts of the car being new and aesthetically different and all that. It's too much. It's all this newness. And the problem I have mostly with it, and I'm sorry that that's not engineering or design related, is actually who he peddles to as a user group. So the user group, the people who are attracted to this stuff are generally, I'm sorry if it's not statistically proven, but generally young, right? They're younger, okay? They come with a lot of impulsivity. They come with a lot of different behaviors. So while I totally respect that, and I would think Barry would be a safe driver in this, I don't think half of them are. And it's this factor that it's a Tesla. It's this thing that's connected to the product brand instead of the actual product, whether or not it's usable, safety, safe or anything. That user group likes to glare over that stuff a lot too. So I'm making a case for, I can see the upside on some of the things, like you said, like it's easier to have that steering maybe, but combine that with rear wheel drive with this and with that and this and this and this, and everything on that car is not designed as usual, as per your usual routine. I feel like that car, I'd feel a lot more comfortable if they offered a training and you had to get a certificate on a training course with that car before you got it.
So I guess with that then, because if you've grown up with Teslas, so you've had your 3 Series, you've had your S Series, you've had the one that does the really cool celebration mode, which I can't remember which one that is, but it looks really, the one with the gull wing doors. A lot of this technology won't be new. So when you look at and I hate it. I'm not a fan of everything is controlled through the one big screen in the middle. This does the same thing. It's 90% of it's controlled through a big screen. It's minimalist. I hate minimalist design. Though, as you quite rightly mentioned, Nick, earlier, it does have a tactile steering wheel. It does have proper clicky buttons, as opposed to what it did have. But the training, if you've grown up going through the Tesla family, actually you probably won't see that much of a big step change. A lot of the technology is the same, or similar. It's just improved on from a Tesla perspective. If you're coming,
you've adjusted to a lot of bad habits.
Not necessarily. I think you're in, just like if you've grown up with BMWs, if you've grown up with any others, you get used to the way that they do things.
Doesn't make it safe.
I'm not saying it does, but I'm saying that
I'm just saying
in terms of how you grow up all the way through a brand, as it were. There's a lot of stuff that if you jump into Teslas for the first time, and I think I had it with, when I've looked around different EVs and stuff like that, if you go into a Kia, that's very different from a Ford, is very different from, because of what it is. But you're right in terms of, like, as I said earlier, if you're going into and taking on a lot of technologies at once, and the upgrades that happen with them, because we've had it with Ford have just been pushing out new upgrades for the Mach-E, and some of them are quite minor. You don't really know what's going on, but some of them will redesign the HCI, which I just find really worrying, because suddenly things that you knew how to do things, you're having to relearn it. And when they do we've upgraded your car, it's treated just like software, because it is just software. You get the little the description, and there's no real guidance onto how they've updated and not briefed in that way. So I think I'm conflating 2 points. One is that if you've grown up in a family of thing, I think the level of change is not as savage as we think it is. But if you're going into the brand new, then it will be.
And but just to be fair, that was my point on it. It was just the safety relatedness to all this newness, and that's what I meant. Just because it's all it's all so much, and yeah, if you're used to it, that's great. It still doesn't make it safe. I want to see the study that says it's safe to use a screen that big, that's a touch screen, in a car. I want to see the study on that, and that doesn't exist, because it isn't. And
there's plenty that indicate the opposite, actually.
Exactly. So. There's plenty, and that's my point. It's like, yeah, I can understand that the consumer who has all the Tesla products and, got the first car, and you're totally on the money with that. Like, yeah, they're used to it. But it doesn't make them all safe. Now that's what I meant with bad habits. They've all adjusted to these bad habits. Like that screen, that screen should go black and not be functional during driving. That's what my car does. I am not allowed to play with my screen, even though it's only this big, but because it's in the middle and it's a touch screen, I'm not allowed to use it during driving. It gets disabled.
Yeah. So quick show note here, apparent. I guess it's apparent now that I'm cutting the debate section, because this conversation was great. We're running towards the end of the show, and I just want to kind of end on our own final thoughts here.
Yeah.
I think for Barry, what are your final thoughts on the Tesla Cybertruck? You want one? You don't want one? How are you feeling about it?
I'd like to borrow somebody else's. think I'd love to go and take it out for a ride. I think there is some novel things in there that I would love to see how it works and how it plays around. I think they've tried to do some clever things, but I also think there's other things that they just haven't looked around and seen how some things haven't worked on other vehicles, and learned from others' experience. But I think on the whole, I like the boldness. I like the idea that they've gone out and tried to do something, because cars are pretty dull in the grand scheme of things. And it takes a level. I mean, they've got some amazing engineers in Tesla, in the way that they've come up with some of these ideas. I don't think this Cybertruck will last very long, if I'm brutally honest. I think that it will go through a number of evolutions. At least I hope it does. But fundamentally, as the new kid on the block, I think it's got a future.
Heidi, final thoughts on the Cybertruck.
Such a British thing to say, by the way, Barry. I'd like to borrow somebody else's. So neutral. But yeah, for me, it's a no. I mean, I don't want it on the street. I don't even want it to be tested on the street. I would rather they take it back into the R&D lab, fix all those kinks, and not subject the public roads to this, because that driver in that car is going to be a danger to another person, and I don't like that factor on it. So for me, it's an absolute no. There's too many safety issues on this car. The design, we could talk about the aesthetics of it, all night long, but aesthetics to me are subjective. Safety things are not. Safety things are not subjective. Either you hurt somebody or you don't, and in this, I see too many people get hurt.
Yeah, for me, I think there's this fine line of trying to push boundaries and break things, versus making things functional and safe. And there's an interesting thing that is happening with things like the Max, or with even Ocean Gate, or let's say Cybertruck, where you truly push the boundaries of what we should and shouldn't be doing as humans, for safety reasons, for usability reasons, for aesthetic reasons. And I feel like the Cybertruck, in a lot of ways, like the Tesla vehicles, have pushed the boundaries of what we can call autonomous systems on the road and who's liable, and all those conversations that are actually happening in government right now. I feel like the Cybertruck will push us in those ways as well, and it shouldn't have to come at the expense of human life, but I fear it will. And so for that reason, I tend to agree with you, Heidi, that there should be more safety considerations when it comes to this. But ultimately, I agree with you too, Barry. It is a bold statement, and it needs to be. I think if we want to find where those limits of legislation and safety are, to fix them. And so it shouldn't have to be that way, but I think that's where it is. Anyway, with that, a huge thank you as always to our friends, well, let me it's been a week here. It's been a couple weeks since we've done this. So let me stop and do that again. Thanks to all of our patrons and everyone else for selecting our topic, and thank you to our friends over at The Street for our news story. We want to thank Marques Brownlee for the big long YouTube video that we got a lot of that art from. If you want to follow along, we do post the links to the original articles on our weekly roundups in our blog. You can also join us on our Discord for more discussion on these stories and much more. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with our One More Things right after this. Are you tired of boring lectures and textbooks on human factors and UX? Well, grab your headphones and get ready for a wild ride with the Human Factors Minute podcast. Each minute is like a mini crash course packed with valuable insights and information on various organizations, conferences, usability methods, theories, models, certifications, tools, and much more. We'll take you on a journey through the fascinating world of human factors, from the ancient history to the latest trends and developments. Listen in as we explore the field and discover new ways to enhance the user experience. From the Think Aloud protocol to the critical incident technique, focus groups, iterative design, we'll make sure that you're the smartest person in the room. Tune in on the 10th, the 20th, and the last day of every month for a new and interesting tidbit related to human factors. Don't miss out on the Human Factors Minute podcast, your ultimate source for all things human factors.
Human Factors Cast brings you the best in human factors news, interviews, conference coverage, and overall fun conversations into each and every episode we produce. But we can't do it without you. The Human Factors Cast network is 100% listener supported. All the funds that go into running the show come from our listeners. Our patrons are our priority, and we want to ensure we're giving back to you for supporting us. Pledges start at just $1 per month and include rewards like access to our monthly Q&As with the hosts, personalized professional reviews, and access to the full library of Human Factors Minute, a weekly podcast where the hosts break down unique, obscure, and interesting human factors topics in just 1 minute. Patreon rewards are always evolving, so stop by patreon.com/humanfactorscast to see what support level may be right for you. Thank you, and remember, it depends.
Yes, and we're back. Truly thank you to all of our patrons. Especially want to thank our Human Factors Cast All Access and VIP patrons. Patrons like you truly have kept the show alive in these months, these off months. So I just thank you all for that. I can't thank you enough. Usually this is where we do a separate segment, like the debate. But like I said, in lieu of a debate, we had a longer conversation, and I think it was necessary. So that leaves one more thing. Now, it's been a while since we've all checked in with each other, but Barry, I am curious, what is going on in your world?
Well, in my world, because we haven't done this for a while, I'm going to have two more things. One is I think I mentioned ages ago, we were looking at getting a new kitchen put in. Well, the kitchen is going in and it's taking shape, but it's amazing just how many small usability issues you've got to almost deal with on a daily basis when you're trying to develop you've gone past the design phase, but you're in that sort of production phase almost, and different questions that come up every day. It's just been so interesting to develop some of these things and develop them slightly more on the fly than what I'm used to. So that's been a novelty. But the other thing I think has been really interesting for me is learning new things. Generally, I do a lot of research for my day job, and so actually, soaking up new information, love doing it. But I have a real problem with languages. I cannot take on new languages, and I don't know why. It's just something. There's a block in my head. So I've been trying for ages to learn Welsh, because I live in Wales. And I went and I was using like apps like Duolingo and all them sort of things. And I took a break, quite an extended break. And so I started up again about a week or so ago. And I realized I'm still really, really rubbish at learning new languages. So if anybody out there has got any hints or tips or anything about how to make learning languages easier, then fantastic. And this is where I'd, some sort of brain link where I could just upload it a la the Matrix, but that's not going to happen. So yeah, it's all about usability and language for me.
Are you telling me that the little green bird being passive aggressive is not enough for you to learn Welsh?
Well, it does get when it just gets it falls down to the thing of saying it's telling me what to do. It said you have to come and learn Welsh today, and I'm like, well, you told me what to do now. I definitely don't want to do that. So that's obviously other issues that I've got. But no, it's truly a struggle.
All right, Heidi, what about you? What's your one more thing this week? Are you muted?
Yes, I was.
Oh,
Yes, I was. I was blowing my nose. I forgot. Barry, actually, I heard from a friend that Duolingo works really well.
That's what I'm using at the moment, and
no,
that's the aggressive little green bird. It's okay. It's I guess the biggest struggle I've got is you kind of need to use it to get there. So
always going to be.
When I've like sort of used French and stuff in the past, I've been lucky enough to go and be able to immerse myself in it in Canada and France and things like that. Ironically, I live in Wales, but not that many people on the whole speak Welsh on a day-to-day basis. And then I'm also very scared of actually going to talk to Welsh people because I've got no idea what they're saying. They all speak really quickly and they're all way more intelligent than I am. So I struggle.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I'm taking away from your one more. What's your one more thing?
No, it's fine. I'm just thinking. I mean, you got my wheels turning there. spinning, languages, it's my thing. Languages, speaking multiple languages, and always eager to learn another one. And, I'm 10 years in learning Farsi, 20, 40 years in learning Farsi, and I still can only, order my groma sabzi. So my one more thing, I'm going back and forth. I don't really have one. I admitted that at the beginning. So I don't really have one other than just what I had to deal with today was that everything has become so automated that manual interference is like not there anymore. So I tried to stop something today from processing, and it won't, even though it doesn't have a date for another 2 days. Like, it's not supposed to happen for another 2 days, but I can't stop it, and nobody will let me stop it. And I'm like, what? I'm confused. Like, why? Let's just talk about it. It's a banking transaction, and I cannot stop it, even though it's my bank account. It should require my authorization. It's my money, and I cannot stop the payment because it's all so automated. And now I have to fix this stuff in the background with my banking specialist, and I don't understand how we lost the human factor in all this. I don't get it.
Talk to a human. I want to talk to a human.
Oh my God.
Well, hey, I'll end this out here, and I want you both, so Barry in Welsh and Heidi in Farsi, if you can, when we end the show, let's say it depends in those languages, because as we're talking about languages,
I don't know what depends means. I only know what it means.
I don't show this off very often. I don't show this off very often, but that's a 782-day streak in Duolingo. So,
in what language?
Spanish. So,
oh, very good.
Eso depende. No, I think for me, my one more thing this week is that, as you all know, I've had some things going on in my life. I'm slowly getting back into the swing of things. And this is just a gentle reminder to give yourself grace this holiday season. No matter what you believe, just know that it is not all on you. You don't have to do this alone. There are people out there to help you. And just give yourself some grace if you're feeling stress or pressure to get the perfect gift, to perform at work before you go on leave. Whatever it is, just give yourself a little grace. That's all. That off the soapbox. From me. I know. I'm echoing it from the episode that we did. All right, that's it for today, everyone. If you like this episode and just enjoy some of the discussion about the cult leader Elon Musk, I'll encourage you all to go listen to Road Rage Meets Robo Cars. That's episode 282. Comment wherever you're listening with what you think of the story this week. What are your thoughts on the Cybertruck? Really curious what you all think about it from a human factors perspective. For more in-depth discussion, you can always join us on our Discord community. Visit our official website, sign up for our newsletter, stay up to date with all the latest human factors news. If you like what you hear, you want to help support the show, there's a couple things you can do. One, you can leave us a 5-star review. That's free for you to do right now on whatever podcast or podcatcher you listen to. 2, you can tell your friends about us. That is absolutely free for you to do and really helps the show grow. And 3, if you have the financial means to and want to help support us financially, you can consider supporting us on Patreon to do that as well. As always, links to all of our socials and our website are in the description of this episode. Mr. Barry Kirby, thank you for being on the show today. Where can our listeners go and find you if they want to talk about how bold you think the Cybertruck is?
If you want to come talk to me about the Cybertruck, then you'll find me on X and other social platforms at Baz_K. Or if you want to come and listen to discussions with the great and the great and the bold in the Human Factors community, then come and find me on 1202 the Human Factors podcast, which is 1202podcast.com.
Heidi Mirzad, thank you for being on the show today. Where can our listeners go and find you if they want to talk about how much you idolize Elon Musk?
Please do not contact me for that. You can find me on all social media. I'm just putting it out there. Please do not contact me for that. But for anything else, at HFUX Research across all platforms, that includes his, yes.
As for me, I've been your host, Nick Roome. If you want to find me and tell me to stop making fun of my guests while they're on the show, you can find me across social media at Nick_Roome. Thanks again for tuning into Human Factors Cast. You guys ready? Until next time,
Es kommt
Eso
darauf an.
depende.
Well done.
All right, let's bring back the music. Where's the music? Thank you all for sticking around with us while we did that. We're going to do a post show here. So we have plenty more to talk about, I'm sure.
It depends is too long in German.
Barry, that's a great comment in the chat.
What just happened? Nick, when you turned on the music, you went away.
You've washed out.
Every time.
Yeah.
It's every time. Barry, there's a comment in the chat here. Do you watch any Welsh TV shows to
So we do have a Welsh TV channel. In fact, there are Welsh language things. Part of my problem is I don't actually watch that much TV because when do you fit?
So sad.
That's not true. We've been because we've been watching Squid Game, the competition, and we've just finished it. I was like, I must finish it in time for tonight because I was meant to mention it as part of my one more thing, and I didn't. Oh, darn it! Never mind.
Would you like to go back? Should we
No,
rewind?
I'm good.
Okay.
So you didn't finish. So is it the one that you're talking about?
We just finished.
Okay.
I've just finished it just before we came out. So
okay,
we have a winner in everything.
Does
that mean we're going to talk about Squid Game now?
No, we're not. We're not. There's just a moment. Did you pick up on the moment that I was talking about?
I need you to remind me how you described the moment, and then
I think the way I described it is there's certain moments from the drama that they managed to recreate in the show in such a perfect way that nobody expects, yet they should have expected it, but that's all production. And it has to do with little circular objects. That's all I'm going to say. Little circular objects.
Oh, yeah. No, they
okay.
There was some of it that I liked the way that they mixed up. They brought in different things, so just to keep everybody on the toes and things like that. I thought it all worked really well. I think there was enough the same, but yet enough difference in it to be entertaining. So I don't think they could do it again. I think I can't see how
they're cleared for a second season.
Yeah,
and I think they absolutely could do it again. There's plenty of tricks that you can use that would, what's the word I'm looking for? Like revitalize or like to obscure some of that stuff that wouldn't necessarily be a. I
think you're right. I guess where I was coming from, if this series was a novelty. I think the next one will be right. We're waiting for this. It's the final one. You know so much of the structure. I don't know whether I think we spent a lot of time watching this, going, "Ooh, how are they going to do X, Y, and Z?" Whereas now we know, and it'll take away some of that shit.
Well, we know, but then there's other things like tug of war that never happened.
True.
That I think they could still do. And they could introduce new games. So I think there's still some of those aspects to it where it can be. Anyway, I know Heidi's eyes are glazing over because we're talking about it, but
I'll circle back to the comment that was made and I didn't actually answer. Yes, we do have TV shows. We do have a Welsh TV channel. I just struggle to find the time to sit down and because you it's brilliant for immersing yourself in it, but you're right. If you're going to do it, you have to do it properly, like write down and use it as a study tool. And when I sit down in front of the telly, I don't have the mental capacity or the mental fortitude to do that. But you're right. I wonder whether, because now I've just put up a new TV in the office, whether I could put that on in the background and have that running and it would do magic things. That might be an approach. I'll try that. But maybe Heidi should, given you're so good with languages, maybe you should undertake to learn Welsh, and then you can teach me in post shows. Oh, wow. That would be cool.
I think you're overestimating our friendship here.
Okay.
Ooh, them's fighting words.
Okay, I'll be off then.
No.
Bye.
That sounded so mean, but it's more like I don't know that we could. I don't know that I don't mean it in a mean way. I don't think I could teach you that. You would never, ever want me as a teacher. Ever.
Right.
I
So-
just don't I don't think the language thing is so much a tool, Barry, just to make yourself feel a little better. I think it's a difficult thing when you get older. It just is.
No, it is.
It just is. I mean, it's not for nothing that they always say start languages young. I mean, in Germany now, I heard that. I mean, when I was in school, the first year that they introduced a foreign language to you was in the 5th grade. And now they do it. Their reasoning back then always was you're supposed to learn German writing and reading, you know, all that, like not perfectly, but have a good foundation before you learn another language. And now they're teaching French and English from 1st grade on with like, it's just, and there is a reason for it, because the younger you are, the easier it is to pick up.
And they do say that once you've learned one foreign language, actually picking up other foreign languages is much easier. That the hurdle is the first one. And obviously, there is large blocks of languages that come together, so which help. But yes, it's
I think maybe I'm just a little biased on that because I grew up bilingually. So bilingual, meaning I never had to actually learn the 2 languages because it's part, right, of growing up. And then I learned 2 foreign languages when I was an adult, or no, one when I was a teenager and then another one as an adult. And I will say that there also comes into whether you are a fiend to it or not, like whether you pick them up easily. But I will say, learning new languages on top of the bilingual ones that I have is easier. Learning another new language because I learned a new language, no. It doesn't work for me because each language is so different in learning. Like the style, you know, the rhythm, all of it, you know, so that I would say the interesting thing is, who told me this? I don't know, but somebody brought it up and said, so do you think in German or do you think in English? Do you dream in German or do you dream in English? Do you think in French when you speak French? And we could go for all the languages, right? But what's interesting is in the ones that I grew up with, I switch. So if I'm speaking German, I'm thinking in German, I'm dreaming. If I've spoke a lot of German, I'm dreaming in German, all of it, right? If I'm speaking in English, I'm thinking in English. And if it's the predominantly spoken language during my day, that's what I dream in. However, now speak French or Luxembourgish, Swiss, German, any of those things that I learned later, not saying that I'm fluent or an expert, please don't come for me.
Coming for you.
Yeah. Those I don't. So I don't know if that has been researched, but I don't. When I'm speaking French, I'm still thinking in either German or English. And so I don't know if that plays into role, making things easier. You know?
I don't know. Because when I was doing research on digital transition, actually, we use language as the metaphor for that, and the way that the difference between the way digital immigrants and digital natives think about using it. It's in the way that you translate actions and stuff. So, as you know, we've done a bunch of research into it years ago.
Yeah, it's just a fascinating concept because or factoid, because of the comment that was made with the Welsh TV show.
Yeah.
So that helps me in French or any other language, right? Super helps me to watch the shows and then put the subtitles in the language that I think. So that I can read a different language while listening to another. Now, if you did that, let's say the show was in French and the subtitles were in Luxembourgish, I wouldn't be able to do that because I can't think in Luxembourgish while listening to French, but I can read in English while listening to French. So I don't know if that's a part of it, why people who are bilingual or trilingual or whatever, multilingual, pick up quicker on other languages.
Yeah. It's,
does that make sense? Like why it's so much easier for me to use as a tool to watch foreign language TV shows. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's so I shall give it a go and see what we can do.
Yeah, let us
Maybe
know.
next time we do this, I might be able to. Let's not set myself up for a fail, but we shall think.
What if we lose you to, Nick?
Oh, y'all ever
Y'all, the y'all's coming out.
Do you all ever just spend your time doing stuff that you know is probably not stuff you should be working on while you're doing something else?
Yeah.
All the time.
Don't we all?
That's
Isn't it human? Or is that just a neurodiversity thing?
I've had a day today where I knew it's one of these things. I knew I had to go through and review a large number of proposals from different companies, all this sort of stuff, and evaluate them all. And it's one of these tasks that I knew it was coming. I knew it was today, and it's not a small task because you have to assess them, grade them, and then prioritize. And the amount of times I was like, right, well, I've done a couple of them, and then, oh, look at this. I clearly, this is the time when I need to make sure I order that new HDMI cable. I need to order something, off Amazon or whatever it is. And I was like, no, back to the task. It's such a long day of trying to drag myself back to the task, just because I would just do that whole squirrel piece to make it happen.
Well, boy, oh boy, do I have one for you all. So
shoot.
Okay. Heidi, you mentioned earlier. So I was picking on you because you were Darth Vader breathing into the microphone.
Oh.
You brought it up on the
When
show.
You said
had you not brought it up on the show,
I didn't know which one you meant. I mean, that's.
Had you not brought it up on the show, I don't know if I would have gone down this rabbit hole. Then, Barry, you went off into this associating Heidi with Sinister, and so I posted a link in our own private.
She made herself Sinister.
Okay, and then Heidi brought up pink and glitters, and so then I just went off and did some things on my own. And Heidi, what happened? Where are you? What happened there? Heidi, that's a crazy outfit you got there. That's kind of.
I mean, nowadays I feel like that's what I should be wearing, because
we need the voice changer.
I need a shield. I need armor for this world.
So that's what you lost me to. That's what I was working on there. It's a quick change there.
Well, time effectively used.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I
now
mean,
I gotta go and clear all this out of my working file.
Anything for my friends, I mean, don't. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I did have an email pop up on my screen. And I'm like,
I also got an email while we were.
I'm finding with all the house stuff that I have been doing myself, I've been discovering something very interesting, and that is that I feel so much better when I do manual labor. Then I wonder if my consultant years are counted because the task switching from labor to computer, no. I have a new schedule now. I run office hours now, and then I'm out. And when I'm out, I'm out. It's really weird. Can you switch easily between manual and like, let's say you're doing a design evaluation on the screen, right?
Yeah.
Can you easily switch from that to manual labor and then just come back?
I
It
can
depends.
task
Or is
switch
that my autism shining through?
the screen. It's not easy, but I find that I quite like doing it. So, but this is this is only like
Okay.
during the summer and stuff, when it's nice outside, and I can quite happily go outside, do something, then come back and then carry on work. And it's also got to be stuff that I don't have to do, so it's a good distraction. So,
Oh, like fun?
well, I wouldn't necessarily go as far as fun, but more the DIY stuff that I want to do as opposed to the stuff that I'm being told I
That
have
you
to.
have to do?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I've only been there for about 6 months. I mean, that's early.
Oh, I got this beautiful wallpaper, and let me tell you, I would much rather be finishing the guest rooms with that stuff than having to do what I have to do right now. So maybe your point is well taken. Thank you.
I mean, to me, it's always been like a way to expand when I hit a roadblock. So like if I hit a roadblock with mental tasks, then I will do like a craft or something to occupy my hands. It's all kind of automatic second nature stuff. So like I'll work on, I don't know, a droid or a prop or something, and I know these things that I'm doing, and meanwhile I'm thinking in my head about some other things, and I never do dangerous tasks. So I'll never operate like a power tool that could seriously injure me while I'm doing those like interruption tasks, because I use them as a way to continue the train of thought while channeling like physicality. It's almost like a fidget toy in a lot of ways, where I'm progressing with something else, but I'm thinking about the thing that I need to be thinking about. It's almost like working while I'm crafting. I'm sure people do that when they crochet or when they do puzzles or whatever. It's just kind of these second nature, low effort mental tasks that you're doing. For me, it's like weathering and like painting and that type of thing. So I always keep like a little project at my desk in case I need to sit here and just like dab away. It's like doodling during taking notes or whatever. You tend to think of things differently when you do that. And so I always keep something close to work on that's not like manual in the sense of like physical, but it gets me into that physical space of actually using my hands and fingers in dexterity, or that require dexterity to channel, I guess, some of the mental capacity. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, that's how I thought it would work, and that's what I mean. Like, I'm finding it hard. Like, I can't go back and forth between that and that. Now, what definitely I've seen on, like, I mean, I take my cues from everywhere with ADHD and autism being diagnosed so late in life. Like, I'm trying to learn tips and tricks that, some people have known for decades in their life, but like some of the things that really help is wearing shoes. I mean, I think Nick, you and I have talked about, I told you about that, how that was like game changer for me. If I wear shoes, I will be more productive. Like, even if I have to sit at the desk all day, it's because my brain thinks I'm getting ready to go. And so those are things that help me very well. But the transition thing is I'm definitely stuck on. And I now heard that ADHDers take longer. How is it worded? They sit in their car longer after they've driven, because the transition between that task and the next task, they need their time for that, because we're so bad with transitions. So I wonder if that's a part of it too, because I have caught myself sitting in the car for over an hour in my garage when I come home, and then all of a sudden I go, oh my god, it's an hour
that's
later.
because of the carbon monoxide in the garage. That's not because
Not running.
another advantage of electric car. You can't.
Listeners really probably think I'm the dumbest on the planet. Like, no, not running the car. Like, just sitting there, car off, and not being able to get out of it. Okay.
But no, my wife does the same thing. You know that the car's pulled up because the ring thing has told you that it's pulled up. You know you can see it. And she just go in for another 10, 20, 30 minutes, and you're like, what are you doing? And it's just because she's, doing a thing, and catching up on messages and stuff like that. Just, as you said, just transitioning. But when you sit there and go, we've got to go now, you need to be in here, you need to be changed, but then that doesn't work.
And
so.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's a transition for sure, but it's also, if driving is my moment, driving is my me time, driving is my music time. I saw a meme the other day that said, if you're friends with an ADHDer and they're talking to you while driving, they love you because they're giving up their music time. And it's true. That's my music special time. So if I'm calling you from my car, either you're, obviously business and all that stuff, like, let's take all that out, right? But if we're friends or whatever, right, that means I really care. Because I'm giving up my music time. So, but what I was trying to say is I have so many thoughts when driving. So when I come to a standstill, it's like I immediately have to get them all out. Like, oh, I need to put this on my to-do list. I put that, I need to text this person back, or I need to put that on my calendar or whatever. And those are all things that I had come to me while driving. And obviously while driving, I'm not going to do that. So then when I stop, I'm like, it's like the floodgates open. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah. So
the whole
now Nick's eyes are glazing over.
No, I took a look at the clock and I just can't believe 2 hours went by like that. It's I feel like last week we were struggling a little bit towards the end, but this week I feel like just we're rolling, and
Maybe
we're
you
rolling.
were struggling last week. I was actually trying to shut up more because I felt like I was talking too much.
Well, I think we should.
Perception is everything.
It is everything. So why don't we wrap up?
That's why perception is reality.
Yeah.
So we don't actually all live in the same realities. It's weird.
You're just trying to break my brain before I go to bed.
But it is true. We don't all live in you and I perceive a situation completely different. And our reality is true because that's how it happened in our head. So that's it. So if a situation seems like if you ever catch yourself go, that's not what happened. And then the other person says, yeah, it is what happened. We're not talking about blackouts or anything here, or alcohol, substances or anything, but that's because you perceive the situation as that and you focused on those things and the other person did the other. So we do all live in different realities.
I'm going to, in my...
Ooh, you're breaking up.
Oh no. Well, let me end with this. In my infinite Star Wars fandom, Qui-Gon Jinn gives a young Anakin the advice: your focus determines your reality. Now, I would advocate that focus is the thing that you spend time and effort into putting your mental and physical attention into. And so I would argue that that's similar to perception. And so in the wise words of Qui-Gon Jinn, your focus determines your reality. Now, don't let that consume you, because your focus can consume you. And it did. And in Anakin Skywalker's case, he actually focused too much on his obsession with keeping Padme alive. And he, that's by everyone. I go on and on. So,
but hold on. That actually goes against what we believe, or not we, what is believed, how thoughts formulate action or reality. So if you actually are too obsessively thinking about something, it's actually not going to come true that way. So you actually need to detach yourself from it. So what
That's
you're
also a
supposed to
Jedi
do is
teaching
you're
too. I could come up with a whole bunch of Jedi teachings.
yeah,
that are-
you're supposed to. You're supposed to focus on something and really think it through and almost exhaust it to the point of where you're almost bored with the thought and then let it go. Detach. And that's when it will happen.
Detachment is also a Jedi. Anyway, okay. That's it for today, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back sometime. I think we're going to take a couple weeks off here during the holidays. We'll probably be back first week of January, since next week is the 21st and the week after that is the 28th. So join us then. Be on the lookout for maybe some special things dropping in your feeds in between then. Like Heidi said earlier, Safe and Effective will be around. And hopefully there'll be some stuff on that feed. Barry, I'm sure you're going to try to push out one more 1202. So there'll be Human Factors content for you. We'll see you in the new year. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your family. And we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Have a good one. Bye.